emotional eater at times? I know I am. I'm Anthony Hartcher. I'm a clinical nutritionist and lifestyle medicine specialist. Did you know that boredom and negative thinking are the friends of emotional eating? Yes, they feed emotional eating. And that's what we're going to be talking about in today's episode. We're going to be discussing the neuroscience of emotional eating, a little bit about what's behind it, the why, what's driving it, and then we're going to discuss strategies on how you can overcome it and essentially stop emotional eating or be in control of your emotions so you don't emotionally eat. So that's what we're going to cover in today's episode. And let's get into it. Let's discuss about how is boredom related to emotional eating. So when we're bored, we have a sense of unfulfillment. And we're fulfillment-seeking human beings. We are seeking meaning and purpose. That's what we do as human beings. And you can probably relate that everyone that's listening wants a purposeful life. And we're generally searching for our purpose or searching for the meaning of life. And so we have this natural seeking of the meaning of life or some purpose. And so when we're bored, we essentially are feeling unfulfilled in that moment. And we're thinking, well, what's the point? Life's, it's not bringing what it should to me and I'm not feeling fulfilled. And so what happens in terms of the neurochemistry, our blood glucose and oxygen go to the midbrain. It goes to the mammalian part of the brain. The mammalian part of the brain is also known as the desire center. So it's where we seek things and where we avoid things. It's also known as the impulse and instinct area of the brain, commonly also referred to as the emotional center. And within this limbic system or the midbrain, we have several aspects of it that constitute it or make it up. There's the memory bank of the hippocampus. There's the amygdala, which is the fear center. There's the nucleus accumbens, which is also part of what is referred to that leads to addiction. So that's, in a sense, part of the desire. It leads to seeking some sort of fulfillment, seeking that wanting to fulfill what's empty or what's missing or the void. And so these areas of the brain get switched on when we're bored. Yeah, so when we're bored, these parts of the brain gets fed with blood glucose and oxygen, and it comes alive. It lights up and it's thinking, well, I need some fulfillment. Give me some fulfillment. And where's an avenue of fulfillment that's external to us? If we're not looking within for fulfillment, we generally take an easy approach and look outside. So we either browse on the internet and we buy stuff. So we have that consumerism. We look for something to give us that temporary fulfillment, and it is temporary. Or we look for something like alcohol or food. So food also brings that external, it brings some sort of fulfillment, but it's externally. We rely on some external source to fulfill us as opposed to looking within. So what's happening in terms of the brain neurochemistry? Well, when we're bored, dopamine, our reward and recognition is down. Our neurotransmitter is down-regulated. It's saying, well, there's no reward coming. There's no recognition coming. Hence, we'll turn on the nucleus accumbens and we'll seek something. We'll find something. And in this case, we're looking externally. We're not looking within. And I'm going to get back to looking within and how you can find it within and not need to look without, or not look outside, not look externally. So not looking at your partner for that fulfillment, or not looking for a friend for that fulfillment, or relying on an external source for fulfillment. You can find it within. So we're going to get to that. But let me get around to finishing off on the neurotransmitters in terms of, yes, dopamine is low. Serotonin, you don't feel content. So serotonin's a mood stabilizer. And in that moment of feeling bored, you're not very content. You're feeling unsettled, right? And so serotonin's dropping, dopamine's dropping. And so what does the body want to do? It wants to get it back into homeostasis. It wants to lift it up. And so what we do, if we're not looking within, we look outside of us and we go to the food. And yes, guess what's, in terms of when we eat, we get a dopamine hit. Absolutely. The body says, yeah, that's good for me. that's going to keep me alive because we have activated our survival center. The limbic center, the emotional center, is activated, and that keeps us alive. It keeps us seeking food, which is prey, and avoiding predator. And that's, it's a survival mechanism of the brain, and that's switched on, and it's live and a wire and fired up. And so it's putting you into hyperdrive. So you're thinking, don't really want to have the ice cream because I don't really need it. So it doesn't align with my goals. But in that moment of unfulfillment and looking to balance that serotonin and dopamine, it becomes more and more tempting, and you think about it more. And the more you think about it, essentially the brain is taking you in that direction to then act on what you're thinking in terms of, yes, I know it's going to lift my serotonin and dopamine. I'm going to feel better afterwards, and I'll feel content in the moment of eating it. And it's going to give me a bit of a hit. Yes, so it's very exciting and tempting. And so we go to the cupboard, we get our chocolate bar, and we eat it, and we eat it, and we eat it, and we eat it, and continue to eat it while we're bored and just, watching a program that we're not really interested in, okay? And so we just continue to eat, continue to consume mindlessly, and we eventually sort of get some lift. Yes, the food does give us some lift, but again, afterwards, we're thinking, we then go into this negative cycle of, oh, I shouldn't really done that. It doesn't serve me. It wasn't aligned to what I'm ultimately want to achieve. I want to achieve better health outcomes. I know everyone listening is seeking better health outcomes. It's not aligned to that. Frustrating. And so you think, I've dropped the ball. Now I'm going to get the other packet. Okay, I'm going to go to get the other packet of chocolates, the other packet of biscuits, another packet of lollies, and just go into that spiral, okay? Because it's self-reinforcing. It's because you're thinking more and more negative, aren't you? You're thinking, oh, you've stuffed it, Anthony. You're hopeless. Oh, you've done it again. Just keep on feeding me. And it's just this positive feedback loop, essentially, that's reinforcing it, saying, yeah, keep doing it until you get the dopamine and serotonin balanced and start feeling a bit more fulfilled and content. And so this results in this binge eating. Yes, it's all driven by the emotions, and the emotions are there to drive us into action. And they're surrounded, or they're certainly very much initiated from this area of the brain, the survival area of the brain, to get us into action, to get us to catch that prey, to get us to that chocolate bar, to get us away from the threat. So that's what it does. It puts energy into motion and drives us, and it's determining your behavioral outcomes. So this is what was found in the Frontier of Behavioral Science. It's a research article that was published in that in 2020, and it found negative thinking is associated with emotional eating. Yes, so those that emotionally ate a lot of the time were, had negative thoughts in the lead up to that. And this is what I'm sharing with you, is that boredom, and then, going to get some sort of fulfillment, feeling more content. You go to something that that's going to bring that hit of serotonin and dopamine. It's typically high in fat and sugar. And then you feel the thinking, that I'm sabotaging myself. I'm getting away from my goal. And then you think, you start thinking negatively about yourself and thinking I'm fat and I'm hopeless and putting yourself down. And so what do you do to lift yourself back up? Go back to the cupboard. So this is that positive feedback loop that's kicking in, that's really taking you away from your ultimate goal to be a healthier version of yourself. And so when our emotional center is running us, we're going to seek some quick, short-term, immediate gratification outcome. And that often is sought externally because it's quick. It's a quick fix, a pill, some chocolate, some alcohol, some shopping addiction, whatever it might be, whatever addiction it is, we get it instantaneously. We can go online, we can buy something, and we think, I'm looking forward to this come. And that the dopamine increases in the lead up for that gift arriving, or that present, or whatever you brought, in the lead up to you actually getting that into your hands. The dopamine is rising. You're getting excited about it. It's like a little kid looking forward to Christmas. There's a build up of dopamine, and you got an element of surprise, what it's going to be like in terms of putting it on or wearing it or playing with it. There's an element of surprise. And so, yes, it drives up a bit of dopamine. It, drives up feeling, yes, there's some purpose in life. I'm going to be fulfilled in that moment that I receive it. And then once you receive it, you think, oh, okay, yeah, it's good, but it's nothing special, as they say, nothing special. It can then result in still feeling a bit unfulfilled, and then this more negative thinking, and then you go back into this cycle again. So this cycle can lead to addictions over time if you don't do something about it. And this is what I want to share with you today in terms of what you can do about it. How can you stop being bored and get fulfilled internally? And how can you get on top of your negative thinking? Okay, so negative thinking does serve us. So it's not all bad. It is there for a reason. It's telling us that there's something not quite right. Okay, you're not fulfilled, and look internally, not externally. But let's get to the boredom first. Okay, so what can you do about the boredom? So what I suggest to my clients is after dinner, do something that's very fulfilling. Don't just waste your time flicking through social media. It might give with social media, it can give some sort of dopamine hits. You can get some laughs or, feeling a bit content because there's a bit of entertainment, but then you can come across material that makes you compare yourself to someone else on social media, and that creates a void because you're comparing yourself to someone else and you see what you are missing, or you perceive what you're missing. There's nothing missing, but you're perceiving something missing because you're comparing yourself to someone else and you're not them. Okay. So yes, so that social media scrolling can, provide some temporary relief, but it can also reveal that that you perceive something missing, and therefore you're looking for some fulfillment to fill that void. And we generally go to something immediate gratifying, something instantaneous, and that's something we can grab from the cupboard that can fulfill us. So in terms of arming you up with tools so that you can actually get it from within, seek fulfillment from within, the first thing you want to do is do something that's important to you after you eat a meal. It's fulfilling so that you're not looking for further food to provide that fulfillment. If after the meal, you could have potentially, you've probably had enough, right? Enough to be satisfied. But if you're then thinking, no, it's boring, I don't know what I'm going to do now, then there's a void, isn't there? So, because as I said, at the end of the day, humans are driven to a meaning. They're looking for a meaning, a purpose to life. And so in that moment, you're thinking, I'm bored, I've got nothing to do. Then yes, you're creating a void within. So what I want you to do from this podcast, or even now whilst you're listening, is write down a list of things that are highly interesting to you. What is it that you like? What are the things that you like doing? What are the things you like learning about? So start there. So how about you start about thinking about the things you love learning about, that you love reading about, you love watching documentaries on, educating yourself on. So do that after dinner. Go to that education that gives you fulfillment because it's educating you in an area that you're interested in. And then from that, constantly doing that, you're becoming a master of that subject, which in turn can create income because you're a master. People are going to seek your expertise in that area. It's just like I've done in health, in neuroscience, in food and lifestyle medicine. I'm constantly learning in these spaces and I'm teaching you. So when I have a moment, such as soon as I wake up, I'm learning about neuroscience. I'm learning about food. I'm learning about human behavior. I'm learning about exercise. I'm learning about sleep. I'm learning about stress. And these are all the things I share with you on the podcast. I'm learning, I'm writing, summarizing, getting an understanding so that then I can articulate it on the podcast. So what inspires you in terms of what material do you like learning about? What do you want to dig deeper into? What's of interest to you? Please share it with me. I'd love to hear. You can share it with me and then I can hold you accountable. So yeah, write it down and then do this after dinner. Or are you seeking, do you love and you get energized? So what energizes you? What do you do? And when you feel what is it that you do that you get energized from? So I get energized from doing these podcasts. So I'm always doing these podcasts. I jump on the podcast whenever I can. I've got a spare moment between clients, between doing webinars, corporate seminars, all that sort of stuff. If I'm not doing that, I'm on the podcast. Okay. And so it brings me energy. So what brings you energy? What are you doing that you feel energized? What is it that you love talking about with others? So I love obviously talking about health with you. So that's what energizes me. What do you love talking about? So I know my mother loves talking about dogs. It energizes her. And so whenever I'm around my mother, she'll be talking about dogs because she loves dogs. And she loves walking with a dog and then talking to other dog owners that share that interest. And they have great chats. They have something in common. They connect over the dog, over their dog stories, and it's bonding. You might love your children. You might get inspired by your children. So what can you do with your children after dinner? Do you want to sit down and read with them? Do you want to sit down and play with them? Do you want to play board games with them? You can do things with your children if it brings you energy. What brings you fulfillment? It's different for everyone. So think about these things that bring you energy, things you like learning about, the way in which you like spending your time. So think about those things. It's really important. What do you like spending your money on other than the basic necessities of life? Look at those areas. Where are you spending your money beyond the basic necessities? That's an area of interest. Is it you like looking beautiful? And so maybe after dinner, you do things that help your skin. You do things that help your looks. So, for me, like in the evening, I'm stretching my body. I want to have nice limbered body before I go to sleep. I want to feel, my body's relaxed, my mind's relaxed. I'm ready to sleep. So I do a whole lot of rolling and stretching before bed. So what is it that's going to bring you fulfillment rather than emotional eating? So it's going to stop you from getting bored. It might be catching up with a friend. You love socializing. So maybe you, every time after dinner, you set up a social call with your friends. Maybe it's a regular thing. You catch up, a regular check-in. How you doing? How was your day? Or maybe you ring a family member and do the same thing. So a way in which you can not be bored after eating, and particularly after dinner. That's when I notice most of my clients trip up, is after dinner. They just can't stop eating. They get a bit bored. The other thing is negative thinking. As I said, that study, the frontier of behavioral science in 2020 revealed that negative thinking, happens before emotional eating. So negative thinking is correlated to emotional eating. So what can you do about negative thoughts? When you're thinking negative thoughts, you want to think about what is it that you are thinking negatively about, and then look at what is positive about it. Look for the positive. Balance the equation, balance your perspective, and you'll calm the emotions. So you can do that internally. So if something's really annoying you, ask yourself, how is it serving you? How is it benefiting you? How is it benefiting you in terms of what's important to you? Ask yourself these questions and you'll find the answer. Your brain will look for the answer. It will seek the answer. And then you'll think, that's how it's helping me. Oh, that's a benefit. Oh, what else? How else is that benefiting you? And okay, that benefit, how is that a benefit, a further benefit? And so think about weighing up the benefits so it neutralizes the negatives that you are thinking about that particular event, that particular person. It could be a person or a place, people, things, whatever it is. Think about what is positive and how is it serving you and what's important to you. Really important to balance those perceptions so that you neutralize the emotions, and the emotions running you towards the cupboard. They aren't putting you into motion so that you go and grab that packet of cookies. Okay, so really important to get on top of that by balancing the equation in your head. Just ask yourself the question, how is this serving me? How is this thought pattern serving me? What's the benefit in terms of if it's a past experience that's popped into your head because you've been triggered by watching a TV show or talking to a person or something that's happened that day. So it could be your reflection on the day and you're thinking negative about what's happened during the day. Ask yourself, how has it served you? What is the benefit? So the other day I got some feedback that was good for me, but I could have taken it as just all bad. And I was thinking, okay, how is this serving me? How is this feedback serving me? How is this person that's put aside the time to give me the feedback? How does it serve me and what's important to me? And I was thinking, this is how it serves me. It makes me wanting to further finesse my craft, the way in which I articulate messages, the way in which I share things. Or maybe it's better understanding the needs first, and then I can meet the expectations. And that's what I realized. There was a gap between their expectations and what I delivered. And so I didn't meet the expectations. So next time I'm going to spend more time understanding the expectations so that I can deliver what is expected and beyond. Okay. So I could have just taken that as, negative feedback. It's all bad and I'm hopeless and no good at this and I feel bad. But I was thinking, how has this served me? Well, I want to get better at my craft. And they've actually highlighted something that was a gap. And that was that I didn't really have a clear expectation of their needs. Now I do. And hence I can narrow that gap and I know how to exceed it next time. Okay. So I've learned from what that feedback was. And so I have an appreciation for that feedback now, as opposed to thinking, oh, it's negative feedback. Okay. So if you get negative feedback, ask yourself, how is it serving you? What is it? Like, have that self-reflection and look objectively at it and ask yourself, how can I improve? How can I better this? How can I get better? How can I leverage this feedback and actually turn it into something that's serving me? So that's what I did. And I've neutralized the emotion around that feedback. It's no longer perceived as negative. Okay. It is just feedback. And I've seen the positive of it and I've seen the drawback of it. I've seen both sides. I've seen it objectively. And so I can see it for what it is, as opposed to judging it as negative feedback. So if you're judging something, you're taking a one-sided perspective of it. You're only seeing one side. You're either, in this case, I had a confirmation bias to the negative and I had a disconfirmation bias to the positive. I had an unconscious awareness or unconsciousness. I was unconscious to the positive and I had a conscious awareness to the negative. But then I looked for the answers and brought what was unconscious initially to my conscious awareness and balanced it. It was always there. The other side was always there. I just had a one-sided perspective initially. Okay. And it resulted in emotion and it resulted in negative emotions. So if you're feeling, creating negative emotions that are associated with emotional eating, then ask yourself, how is it serving you? Okay. And you can catch yourself in the moment. You're about to eat the biscuit and you're thinking, or you've just eaten a couple of biscuits and you catch yourself in the moment and you're thinking, okay, remember what Anthony said? Okay, I need to calm my emotions down. So then ask yourself, how is what I'm perceiving? How is it serving me? Okay. And then keep asking yourself that question until the emotion calms down. And then you no longer have that desire center activated and you're actually activating your prefrontal cortex, which is your executive function. And that's where you can have a vision. That's where you have a strong vision of who you want to be and who you're going to be if you keep following the path of that vision. And so that can only be accessed when we see the meaning, and that's balancing the perceptions, finding the mean between both sides. Okay, is when we balance it, we neutralize it, we find the middle line, the middle road. Okay, and that leads to meaningful, being meaning. That event had a meaning behind it. So, and you keep catching yourself in this moment and then keep balancing it. What will happen eventually? You will start this exercise before you have the packet of cookies in your hands. You will start thinking, okay, I'm feeling some negative emotions or I'm feeling a bit bored. What did Anthony say? He said, do something fulfilling. So go and do something fulfilling if you're bored, or if you're starting to think negative thoughts. How is this serving me? What's the benefit behind it? What's the benefit behind what this person said to me, did to me? What's the benefit behind that event that day in terms of the negative feedback that I shared? What's the benefit to me? How has it served me? And I keep asking myself that question until I feel the emotion calm down. Once the emotion calms down, I no longer have the desire center activated. Okay. And so then you're in control. You are in governance. You're in control of your emotions and you're the master of your destiny. So therefore you can then take the action you're going to take is an action towards where you want to go. And that's the vision of yourself, where you want to be. And you're going to take another step towards that in that moment. Once you've calmed the emotion, you think, okay, I'm going to get back on track. I'm going to get back on track. And if you keep training yourself to then look to balance your perceptions when you're feeling these negative emotions, then eventually it will become second nature. It'll become a habit of yours. Once you feel the negative emotion, you're going to ask yourself the question, how is this serving me? And then you'll calm the emotion and then you'll get back on track. Okay, you won't detour off and go for the packet of chocolate biscuits. And because this will give you governance over your emotions, when you do have something that you like, you'll be mindful. You won't have this sense of unfulfillment. You won't do it mindlessly. You'll do it with complete conscious that, yes, knowing that everything I know in this moment, I want to have this. I choose to have this. But because you're mindful of having it, you won't need as much as when you're mindless. When you're mindless, you keep having it and until you're feeling some satisfaction. And that's generally at a point where you become mindful. So without eating the whole packet of biscuits, you can enjoy one biscuit by just eating it with full conscious awareness, okay, as opposed to being on autopilot and just driven towards this action of seeking fulfillment externally for something that you perceive as a void within. But there's no void there. You just haven't asked yourself, what's the balance, to what I'm seeing? What's the balance in question? So you might be elated with something and think you have the licensing effect. So when we're over elated, we're over exuberant about something, we're thinking, oh, I deserve it now. So therefore I'm going to indulge. Okay. And so when you're over positive, you've got this strong emotion towards something as well, because you give yourself the licensing. Yes, I deserve this and I'm going to have it. And you're emotional, right? You're very elated. And because you're elated, you're going to overconsume it. Whereas if you calm down that emotion, go, okay, what is it that I'm not seeing? What are the drawbacks to what's just happened? And then you balance your perception. Then you get back into your area of governance, your executive function. And that's when you can make a strategic decision about it, thinking, yeah, I'm going to enjoy one. I'm going to have a celebration over one, but that's all I need because I'm mindful. I'm completely aware of what I'm doing. I'm not being run by my emotions. So I'm sure you get me now. I'm sure this is quite clear as to how I'm helping and serving you today in terms of understanding the neuroscience behind emotional eating and what you can do in that moment to get in control of your emotions so your emotions aren't running you and controlling you. Okay, so I've shared those tips today and I hope it's been insightful for you. And certainly share some feedback if you found this episode insightful, because I'd love to obviously share more insights around human behavior and the psychology and neuroscience to help you make decisions that are taking you in the direction that you want to go, as opposed to feel like you're being dragged in this direction opposing the way you want to go. So in order to do that, in order to have that governance, we need to have governance over our emotions. So we need to be aware of our emotions and then understand, what am I perceiving? What am I missing? And then ask yourself the opposing question to balance the equation, to neutralize the emotion, and to transcend your thinking so that you're back in control. You're the governor of your emotions and you are the master of your destiny. So I'll leave it there today. Thank you for your ears, and please join the me&my Health Up Club. I share further insights on the me&my Health Up Club. We dig deeper into these topics. So if you're keen and wanting to join a like-minded community of also keen people that love taking their health to the next level, then jump in and join the me&my Health Up Club for a small monthly fee, and I'm giving huge amounts of further insights, and I'm sharing ebooks and further discounts of products and services that can really serve you and your journey to becoming a healthier version of you. So join the me&my Health Up Club. You'll find the link at the bottom of the show notes where it says click here to support the show and join our like-minded community of like-minded people that love healthing up. Thank you.
Podcast disclaimer. This podcast and any information, advice, opinions, or statements within it do not constitute medical, healthcare, or professional advice and are provided for general information purposes only. All care is taken in the preparation of the information in this podcast. Connected Wellness Proprietary Limited, operating under the brand me&my Health Up, does not make any representations or give any warranties about its accuracy, reliability, completeness, or suitability for any particular purpose. This podcast and any information, advice, opinions, or statements within it are not to be used as a substitute for professional, medical, psychological, psychiatric, or any other mental health care or healthcare in general. Me and My Health Up recommends you seek the advice of a doctor or qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Inform your doctor of any changes that you may to your lifestyle and discuss these with your doctor. Do not disregard medical advice or delay visiting a medical professional because of something you hear in this podcast. This podcast has been carefully prepared on the basis of current information. Changes in circumstances after publication may affect the accuracy of this information. To the maximum extent permitted by the law, Me and My Health Up disclaims any such representations or warranties to the completeness, accuracy, merchantability, or fitness for purpose of this podcast and will not be liable for any expenses, losses, damages incurred, indirect or consequential damages or costs that may be incurred as a result of the information being inaccurate or incomplete in any way and for any reason. No part of this podcast can be reproduced, redistributed, published, copied, or duplicated in a form without prior permission of Me and My Health Up.